Thanks for staying with us. Now, Interior Minister Ambrose Derry has mounted a strong defense for the commemoration of Constitution Day. According to him, the Fourth Republic remains the longest regime by which the country is governed by the Constitution and needs serious introspection on the successes chalked and how to consolidate them. Mr. Ambrose Derry also indicated July 1, which is Republic holiday, will only be observed and not be celebrated as a public holiday once Parliament amends the statutory holiday law when it resumes from its recess.
If people are questioning the essence of celebrating Constitution Day, I think I want to respond to that. Constitution Day is 7th January 1993. Marks the beginning of the Fourth Republic and is the longest period of time that we have uninterrupted multi-party constitutional democratic rule in this country. We've had 7 successive elections, both presidential and parliamentary. We've had 5 presidents. Now, it is significant because we didn't start from there. The First Republic started on 1st July 1960. It ended in 1966. Yes, you want to celebrate it. We recognize that it's the first one. So if you can celebrate a republic that lasted just 6 years, what is wrong with celebrating a republic that has lasted since 1993, which is celebrating the collective effort, the collective effort of Ghanaians? It is not attributed to an individual, because one of the reasons why the earlier republics did not work is because not everybody agreed that it was worth it. Not everybody stood up for it. If today, in the Fourth Republic, all people, journalists, drivers, all workers have supported the effort, have played a part to make sure that we have this enviable stability since 1993, which is admired and celebrated by foreigners. What is wrong with it? And the emphasis for me is, what is wrong with celebrating a collective effort? Because that is the essence of a successful governance system. A handful of people can never do it. In spite of the good intentions of the First Republic, not everybody agreed. That is why when there was a coup, people went to the streets and celebrated. Believe me, if anybody attempts a coup today, I am sure Ghanaians will collectively say, no, we don't. So this is worth celebrating. Let us not make a mistake. Ghana is a living country. You and the rest of Ghanaians living now have the opportunity to be heroes and heroines if you make the mark. It shouldn't be seen as if it is that all those who did things in the past, that's the limit? No. So this is an important day, and that is why we, the government, we want this day to be recognized.
Well, views and opinions about Constitution Day have been mixed. JoyNews has been savoring views from Ghanaians across the country. In the eastern region, some residents of the New Joburg South municipality have questioned the relevance of the newly commemorated day, describing it as an act of retrogression. Although a few have welcomed the decision, some are of the opinion the holiday does not contribute anything meaningful to the Ghanaian economy. Correspondent Maxwell Kudiko reports some residents didn't have a clue about the holiday. They thought it was an extension of the Christmas holidays.
We believe there are a lot of holidays in the country, and if you want to measure productivity very well, you would understand that each holiday that comes in a country has its own rippling effect onto the economy. And we are calling for a lot of changes and a lot of economic management, prudent management to be specific. So if by that we are increasing the number of holidays we are having, or we are trying to be taking some away and be repeating the same holidays, to me in person, I feel that we are retrogressing.
So my view, I think it's necessary to have a specific day for it to be a legacy day for coming promotion. So I think.
But I'm not too much sure of the public education that has been made on the day. So I think people need to be educated more on the Constitution Day as a public day and what it really means. It's like a lot of people are not aware. Thank you.
It's very necessary for us to celebrate this Constitution Day because I think it's time that the civilians need to sit down to reflect on the Constitution, to know our do's and don'ts. So I think this Constitution Day is very, very relevant in our country. For me, for example, actually I just have the basic of the Constitution in my house. So I just sat down to look at some of my rights and the responsibility as a citizen of the Republic.
And those were some views from some residents in the Eastern region. We'll be savoring more views, but right now let's cross over live to the Ghana Arts and Sciences Academy, where correspondent Maxwell Ebenezer Jivenu is on standby after that lecture. Emmanuel Jivenu, rather. Emmanuel, hello.
Hello, Araba.
If you can hear me, Emmanuel, what's been the response to some of the issues raised by Professor Bonzi Simpson in his lecture?
Well, we just ended the maiden edition of the celebration or the lecture marking the Constitution Day of Ghana, and it was delivered by Professor Ebo Simpson, the rector of the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration. He has raised some concerns. He indicated that Ghana has made a lot of strides in consolidating the democracy since we took over the reign of we said the country should be governed by a constitution in 1993 constitution. Some of the things he indicated that there is a need for the country to have a reintrospection into our democracy, making sure that this particular Constitution Day is not like any other ordinary holiday, but there is a need for all citizens as well as political actors to make sure that this particular day is worth celebrating, it's worth marking. He also indicated that there is a need for us to make sure that MPs are matched with the role they are playing in Parliament. He indicated that some of the MPs, since the 26 years of the use of this constitution, the 1992 constitution, some MPs go to Parliament and we do not see them contribute to debate on the floor of Parliament. So he's also indicating that there is a need for us to match their role in Parliament so that we need to get the best from them. Let me get closer and speak to Professor KB Asante, who is one of the individuals who, okay, I'm told he's going to meet the president, but these are some of the things he has been saying. So let's get closer and speak to Professor KB Asante and find out from him what he makes of the lecture today. Hello, Prof. Thank you for your time. I want to find out from you, what do you make of the lecture that has been delivered today?
The lecture was very inspiring. It's very informational. It covers familiar grounds, but it also brings out certain issues which we must address to make the Constitution more viable. I appreciated his distinction between formalism and functionalism, emphasizing on how the Constitution must work rather than the mere existence of a constitutional document. I think if we get the spirit of the Constitution and translate it into an actual constitutional ethos and culture, then we'll be doing well. Thank you.
The issue about we abolishing the Council of States, he indicated that there is a need for the public to know the works of the Council of States members so that we'll be able to judge them based on their performance. What do you make about that?
I think the members of the Council of State themselves are aware of this need. I think they will do something to make their deliberations public and put them in the public domain. So there's no disagreement there. Even members of the Council of State subscribe to that view.
What about separating ministers, the role of ministers from member of parliament? What do you make about that? You are part of the individuals who drafted this constitution. Is it high time we separate these two institutions?
We have two constitutional experiences to follow from. We have the Westminster model, where ministers can be appointed from members of parliament. We have the American model. Sometimes I think that we should really look at the causes of the failure rather than the formal structures. I think since we have tried this hybrid system, it may be appropriate to consider separating the two. However, we come from a system, Westminster system, where members of parliament can be members of the cabinet without necessarily showing any inefficiencies. So the question is whether we distribute our time properly. But I have no objection to outrunning the other model of a complete separation between parliament and cabinet.
So you have the KB Asante indicating that there is a need for a proper introspection into the 26 years of our democracy and by extension the Fourth Republic. So these are some of the reactions we've picked up from KB Asante or some individuals who have come here. Yeah. So from here, from the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, where we had the first or the maiden edition of the Ghana Academy or the maiden lecture commemorating the Constitution Day. My name is Emmanuel Jivenu. Over to you, Araba.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel Jivenu. And as you heard, he was earlier speaking to a member of the Council of State, Professor SKB Asante, there on his views on Professor Bonzi Simpson's lecture on the Constitution in the Fourth Republic and how it is expected to perform functionally. Now, one of the issues that Professor Bonzi Simpson asked government to do is to go beyond commemorating Constitution Day as a holiday and institute public fora. He says that governments must take the opportunity to, among others, reorient citizens on the need for public service. And, you know, his call comes amidst opposition to the holiday by sections of Ghanaians, including the NDC and the CPP. Even some Ghanaians remain clueless about the relevance of the day. Now, he says that the day should provide an opportunity for introspection. And that's a lot of what the people who, or those who attended that particular lecture have been also reacting to, that we need to actually use a day as an opportunity for introspection.
Constitutional Day is earmarked or has been set aside by this government to let Ghanaians remember the rules that is governing the country, the laws, the regulations, so that, but I have a problem here because not most people understand Constitution, because it is crafted in the English language. And how many of us speak in English language? Recently, a man has translated the Constitution into a tree, and I think it would be very beneficial if the legislators adopt it, and maybe some schools and some churches and some COs and organizations also adopt it and explain, because the people must understand what is Constitution. I, for one, for instance, I've gone to school, I understand a little bit, even though I'm not a lawyer, but once I can read and write, I understand it. But there are so many people who don't understand at all. All what they know is that Omamra, the country's governing law. What is Omamra? You just assume, oh, the law they have created for us to obey. That is it. And people misconstrue and say, oh, democracy means can be. And so they say, oh, as for democracy, you can do anything that you want because nobody will arrest you. But that shouldn't be the case. There should be rules and regulations as the Constitution stipulates. I think I've responded to the view already. For me, I think the holiday is a little bit superfluous. I would have loved this lecture to take place and remind us, maybe some symposia, some lectures here and there, and maybe a cleanup or something, okay, to remind us, oh, since 1992, we have embarked on this journey. This is how far we have reached. And then you indoctrinate, you teach the people, don't you teach them and explain things to them. But to make it a holiday, for me, you have so many holidays in the country. Recently, the government said that they are going to take away such holidays. Why do you bring another one? For me, I think it's a bit superfluous.
Constitutional Day, which is a holiday today, what I do understand is it's a day that has been put aside to be celebrated from for the Third Republic, you understand. before the Third Republic, we know the military junta that came after the Second Republic. So for a constitutional day to be set aside today for the celebration of it, it means that the Constitution has really come to stay. So it needs to be celebrated. It started 1993, 7 January. So it has been a date being set aside to celebrate Constitutional Day that makes, the country to move forward. For the holiday aspect, for me personally, I think it's necessary because this should have been long ago. Because we are all, we are all trying to champion democracy in Africa, and for a constitution to be honored as a holiday is very necessary so that everybody will think about democracy.
Constitutional Day. Ghana has adopted for itself as a country that is governed by constitution, that is rules and regulations. And for that reason, we became a republic to be free from colonial rule. And so having been adopted as using constitution to govern ourselves, we thought this government thought it's wise that to replace the Republic Day with the Constitution Day, which is almost about the same. Being a republic means that you are free from any rule other than your own rule that you have carved or developed for yourself.
So those were some views on Constitution Day. Personally, from what I know about the Constitution is that we are guaranteed the right to free speech, particularly because I'm in the media. But you're still watching Joy News Prime, and still ahead, anti-corruption advocate and global winner of International Anti-Corruption Excellence Award wants aspect of laws on anti-corruption changed to help fight the canker efficiently.
Our asset declaration regime in Ghana is a joke. Assets declaration without verification is as useless as the paper it is on.
And coming up in business, President of the Ghana Association of Bankers, Alhassan Andani, is optimistic the completion of the banking sector cleanup would improve confidence in the industry. Sandra Penny brings you details on that. Stay with us. You're welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now, a Ghanaian Commonwealth Secretariat advisor who emerged winner of the 2018 Global Anti-Corruption Excellence Award says Ghana's fight against corruption has not yielded much results because policies and structures meant to fight the canker have been ignored. Dr. Roger Opon-Koranting, who also established the Commonwealth Africa Anti-Corruption Center in Botswana, believes, among others, Ghana needs to resource the special prosecutor adequately to take up corruption-related cases that drain the public purse. On structures that may be promoting corruption rather than fighting it, Dr. Koranting cited, among others, the asset declaration law, which he described as a joke. He also wants aspects of the law on corruption to be changed. For example, the burden of proof in a corruption case should not be on the accuser but the accused. He spoke in an exclusive interview with Bernice Abubedu-Lanza.
In terms of fighting corruption in Ghana, in the sense of coming up with the ideas, I think Ghana have a lot. And the latest addition is the special prosecutor, which no African countries have it. But because we realize that all the strategy we have put in place were not working, so we keep changing and keep trying. So with the special prosecutor coming on board, which I have worked with him, in fact, most of my programs, he comes in as a resource person or as a participant. With all the Shraj, Mr. Weto, and Yoko Boss, I organize programs for all of them as well. So yes, coming home, I think that yes, the problem is that if you come from the same country, sometimes it becomes a challenge how to deal with it. I quite remember one of the most effective ways of fighting corruption in most of the countries I've worked with. I brought the idea, it was published in the papers, but nobody carried forward because it's very, very I would say, want a better word, controversial, but that is how you fight corruption. Because corruption, if you look at fighting corruption, is not sitting in an armchair. Look at the words in the corruption parlance: combat, fight. So it's a war. You have to go after them. So one of the ways of fighting corruption is to change a particular law in the anti-corruption legal framework, that the proof of burden, normally in the common law, the proof of burden is on the one who accusing the other. So they say you are not guilty until you're found, you're proven guilty. But in fighting corruption, because of the secret nature, that's why corruption, we talk about perceived corruption. You can't say actual, because you cannot put your finger on it that I saw it. So when you are fighting corruption, we change that law, that particular law of not guilty until you're proven guilty. We say you are guilty of corruption until you prove to the court that you are not. So in that case, what do? The anti-corruption agencies will look at people's lifestyle. They look at your income. They look at your acquisitions, all the big fanciful buildings and all that. Then they will invite you to court. Simply explain to the judge how you acquire all these things. So now the onus on you to prove to court that, well, I got this asset because I had this from here. And when you have that, most countries like Hong Kong, Singapore and all others, you back off, because as soon as you acquire all these assets, you have to explain. Otherwise, you'll be in big trouble. In Singapore, one thing I learned about the anti-corruption agency in Singapore, they have what they call a tagline. It's a very interesting tagline they have. They say you are better off if you sin against God than to sin against the Anti-Corruption Bureau of Singapore. Now, what does that mean? God, if you sin against God, God is merciful. If you repent and you pray and you fast, you'll be forgiven. But when you sin against the Anti-Corruption Bureau of Singapore, no mercy.
President Akufo-Addo appointed Mr. Martin Amidu as special prosecutor last year, and a lot of people were excited. But there are others who have also raised concerns about the political nature of fighting corruption. Is that a legitimate concern, or much ado about nothing?
Yes, it's a legitimate concern, not because of Hamidu, but it's a legitimate concern in Ghana, the way we publicize or we politicize corruption itself, corruption fight. Because Ghana, whether we like it or not, democracy has brought in a lot of interesting dividends, but also challenges. That once you start fighting corruption, they will accuse the ruling government of witch hunting. If the government doesn't fight the corruption, they say you are complicit, and then the civil society will come after you. So the way we have politicized the corruption fight is the issue. Now, in the case of Martin Hamidu, I was very excited, and like any other Ghanaians, and international community were so excited about Martin Hamidu being appointed, because we know his caliber and his stance on corruption. So that was a good move. However, what we are all concerned, particularly international community and myself as a Ghanaian, is that we have not seen much of Hamidu. But from where I sit, I understand it also, that when you are setting up an institution from the scratch, you cannot do that within 6 months or a year. I look at even Strat, when Amy Short set up Strat, it took them a long time, so many years before Strat started doing something. So I understand it, but the generation in which we are now, not only in Ghana, but across the world, we are impatient. We don't have, because the way things are moving, we want to see results immediately. Asset declaration regime in Ghana is a joke. The way our assets are declared and kept secret, nobody knows what goes in, unless, of course, you're under investigation, criminal investigation, before they go and remove it and check what you have declared. Access declaration without verification is as useless as the paper it is on. What is the point? I declare my access, then it's kept secret. Nobody knows. In the Caribbean, access declaration is their mainstay of the anti-corruption agencies. They declare every year, and depending on even though, as we're saying, it's supposed to tackle grand corruption, in certain institutions, like the police, like the customs and immigration in those countries, even the messenger have to declare the assets, because there you could see, and as we know, you could see a low-level officer having huge assets because they are prone to corruption. So for me, the Ghana Asset Declaration is not helping the fight against corruption at all until it could be verified or it could be publicized so that we know what you are putting there. And therefore we can say, yes, you have these assets, you have that assets, but you didn't declare. But as it is now, it's not helping. It's not helping the fight against corruption at all, because nobody knows what any people put in that asset declaration.
This is Joy News Prime. Stay with us because Showbiz is up next. You're welcome back. Now, the National Democratic Congress parliamentary candidate for the Ayawaso West Wogon constituency, Delali Kwesi Brimpong, has launched a scathing attack on previous members of parliament who represented the people of Ayawaso West Wogon on the ticket of the MPP for stagnating the progress of the constituency. Mr. Brimpong argues that for the past 22 years, the MPP has had the support of the constituents, but elected MPs who have failed to fight against poverty, insecurity, sanitation and health challenges within the constituency. Kwesi Parker-Wilson has the rest of the story.
Hundreds of NDC supporters gathered at Mimpasem for the official launch of the campaign dubbed New Man for the New Year. The supporters, clad in party paraphernalia, held A4 sheets with the inscription, "Vote Brimpong, vote competence." The economy is not doing well. The seat is not a family seat, among others. Speakers who took turns to address the supporters seized the opportunity to jab government. Here is national organizer for the party, Joshua Kamba.
Yet again, there's a second or third wife who is saying that the husband also promised her that when he dies, she then would now be the next MP. No, not again. The MPship is not about inheritance. It's about serious business. It's not a family property. It's about the people who will serve.
The NDC parliamentary candidate, Delali Kwesi Brimpong, observed that previous NPP parliamentarians for the area have worsened the plight of the constituents.
For 22 long years, the New Patriotic Party has enjoyed the support of the people of this constituency who have elected their candidates to represent them in parliament. The trust reposed in NPP and their candidates has not yielded the desired dividends in terms of development and socio-economic progress. A constituency with the profile we have should have witnessed far more progress than it has currently. Today, the Ayawaso West Wogon constituency continues to grapple with sanitation difficulties, even within areas deemed relatively affluent. Low-income earners continue to struggle for economic space and are often the subject of demolition exercises due to the siting of kiosks and other containers for them to make ends meet.
He also outlined his vision for the constituency.
I will look at education and youth entrepreneurship. I will look at health and sanitation of the constituency. Third, I will look at security and your welfare. Above all, I will be an accessible MP.
The NDC's acting director of election, Bedizidin, says the party's victory in the upcoming by-election will serve as a springboard for the NDC in the 2020 general election.
This time round, we are hungry for power. We are hungry for power. We want to win 2020. And the winning of 2020 must start from the winning of Ayawaso West wagon.
Popular Ghanaian actor John DeMello has been tasked by the party to mobilize funds for the by-election. The Electoral Commission will open nomination for aspirants between January 10 and 12. The aspirants are expected to pay a filing fee of 10,000 Ghana cedis. Kwesi Parker Wilson reporting for Joy News.
Now, Ghana's police service has been involved in the training and rebuilding of a new police force in Somalia after decades of war as part of the AU mission in the East African nation. The country, which has seen nearly 3 decades of war, is poised to rewrite its story. JoyNews' Justice Bedu traveled there, embedded with the Amisom police force to find out how their work is shaping a new Somalia.
On the outskirts of the Somali town of Joha, some of the country's young people have come to be enrolled into a new police service. 20 years of civil war has brought nearly all institutions here on their knees. Everything is starting from the scratch. The weather is extremely dry and dusty. Faces here show anxiety, but the same people look upbeat.
It's a fresh start for many young Somalis wanting to help their country rise back from the rubble and rebuild. In this Amisom yard, they come to get tested, screened medically, and passed fit to join the new Somali police force.
There used to be a well-developed police force in Somalia. It was a war that disintegrated, the police. So Somalia is now a federal country, with 5 member states, so each member state has to have its own state police. We are now trying to establish the state police here. We've reorganized the police, been re-established. They are performing their duties in a way with our support, but they are delivering.
Chief Superintendent Paul Kisi Frimpong is the Ghanaian contingent commander and deputy coordinator for Amisom Police.
Somalia, we are tired for civil war.
Amongst the people here today is Abdul Somed, himself a victim of war who has lost both parents in the last 10 years.
The reason why the most of people joining the police is that, Somalia has been a civil war since 1991. So they want to join the police. They want to bring their community peace and stable.
This is still a volatile country. Sporadic terror attacks dominate the news here, but many of the people are bent on making change. And with the help of Amisom Police, peace may soon return to Somalia. Justice Bedu, Joy News, Joha, Somalia.
Now, Ghanaian farmers will soon have drought-tolerant and pest-resistant maize and soybean varieties for cultivation. The Crop Research Institute says the improved varieties awaiting approval have the potential to reduce pre- and post-harvest losses. JoyNews' Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin reports.
CRI in Shiraba, which means blessed child, CRI Enipa, which means good eye, and CRI in Kwaje, or survival, are some of the varieties being tested. Dr. Manfred Bonzi Ewell is a maize breeder and senior research scientist at the CRI of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research.
These are high in provitamin A, ranging from 11 microgram per gram to 15 microgram per gram. Yields are between 5 tons to 6 tons. Now, we have got the yield, but we need to be sure whether economically, when we produce these varieties, it will be feasible. So we conduct economic analysis as part of the release process.
Other locally improved maize varieties are CRI BA, CRI Akumapa, and CRI Nkomo.
There are materials that are here. It's not from outside. Normally we get introductions from outside. But here is the case, we are developing something from our own. So we call it CRI bar. And then the Akomapa is that the good heart that CRI have for the people of Ghana. That's reason that we want productivity in agriculture to improve. And therefore we are coming out with these varieties to help farmers improve their productivity.
2 soybean varieties have also been proposed for release.
The major diseases that we have in the country for soybean are the brown spots, or what we can call the secrosporal leaf spots. Then also we have the viruses, and then anthracnose, and then rust. And these are the diseases that may attack soybean. Currently, the varieties that we have released were bred specifically for resistance to these diseases. And as far as we can tell, they are very good and they can do very well when even there's a disease outbreak.
Now, some indigenes of Kete in the Krachi West district of the Volta region have pledged to give their estates and other landed properties to the government to serve as administrative offices for the Oti region, should the area be chosen as the regional capital. So far, 4 districts, namely Nkwanta South, Jasikan, Krachi East and Krachi West, have expressed interest in having the capital of the newly created OT region. But the Krachi Youth Association believes it will be unjust to deny Kete Krachi the capital. Manasseh Azura-Wuni was in Krachi to see the facilities being promised the government and now reports.
Kete, for example, used to be a very important economic center. We had a road, main road from Accra runs through Kete right up to Tamale. And if you ever came to Kete at any time in the day or even in the night, our lorry station was very actively being participated by people who were trading and other things and so on and so forth.
Nana Abiam Danso, the Ankobia Hine of the Krachi traditional area, explains how Kete Krachi lost out as a major trading center following the building of the Akosombo Dam. The Kete town, which was a major commercial center between the north and the southeastern part of Ghana, was submerged, and to date, the people still live with the consequences of the lake. President of the Krachi Youth Association, Hastings Anani, says Kete Krachi was sacrificed to have the Volta Lake as well as the Akosombo Dam and must be compensated with a regional capital to open up the place.
Early 80s, almost all districts, up to date, almost all the districts, Krachi Nchumbru, Krachi East, Nkwanta North, Nkwanta South, were all under Krachi. So that time it was called Krachi District. And administratively, we were able to manage all these districts and successfully. Secondly, you know, experience is the best teacher. So once Krachi was able to control all these districts without any problem, I think that with that experience, it's too easy for us to manage the region.
Mr. Nani took JoyNews to some facilities that have been pledged by some indigenes of Kete Krachi to host the regional administrative offices should the government choose Krachi as the regional capital for the Oti region.
We have all the facilities that it takes the government to site the regional capital here. We have a vast land that we can give out to the government to start building administrative structures. We have it. More to that, some of our citizens who have been endured with wealth are ready to release their big mansions for the government to start administrative work with.
One of the arguments against Kete Krachi in its bid for the capital of the Oti region is the fact that it is surrounded by water. Travelers to Kete Krachi from the southern part of the country would have to cross the Oti River before entering the district.
We should look at the broader Ghana. And I've talked about water bases. Now, we're saying that if you make Kete Krachi the regional capital, we are going to open up the area. Someone traveling from any place will get to a destination in Kete Krachi. They will buy on the road, they will buy yam, they will buy fish, they will buy charcoal, they will buy goat, they will buy everything that we have. Malabo is an island with 2 or 3 other states. The broader Equatorial Guinea or the bigger Equatorial Guinea is separated from Malabo, but Malabo is the capital of Equatorial Guinea. Now, who considered the issue of crossing river or ocean or anything? So it is about development, and we know that every town that is sited along a major river has a bigger potential of developing.
The Kratchi Youth Association believes Kete Kratchi is more accessible to other regions outside Uti and hope those making the decision on the choice of the regional capital will look beyond only the 6 districts to the south of Kete Kratchi.
To take Kratchi out, you take Kete Kratchi out and you send it to any other area, it means that those I have mentioned, the Boan Hafu, the Bunu East, the Ashanti, the Northwest, after crossing the river, crossing the Seni River, they will have to cross the Oti before going to say Nkwanta, Dambai, or Jasikai. Are we not considering them? I think making the area accessible is not limited to only one side of the people in the country.
Meanwhile, the chairman of the Joint Consultative Committee on the Creation of the Oti Region and paramount chief of the Kratchi Traditional Area, Nana Mprabesemuna, has appealed to competing interests to stay united and not do anything that would undermine the victory won at the referendum.
Everybody should be patient for the Nanum to meet and come to a decision.
Now, the Kokombo Youth Association and the Anufos have jointly condemned the violent ethnic clashes ongoing in the Chirponi district of the northern region. The 2 youth groups have also appealed to both sides in the conflict to bury their differences. Addressing a joint press conference Monday morning, the president of the Koya Youth, Daniel Toby, said there can never be any winner in any conflict but destruction of the future of children.
To the efforts being undertaken by the 2 youth associations, the Anufo Youth Association and the Kokomo Youth Association, with the support of the Regional Coordinating Council. I fully support the ideas that the regional minister has just espoused, but I want to add that if it is possible, the Regional Coordinating Council should facilitate a trip to the conflict zone by the 2 youth associations. When the people see the leadership of the 2 groups together, that will help to cement the peace that we are yearning for. I also want to add that after this process, any other person who is caught fomenting this problem must be punished and punished well. I think that because people are not punished, they think that they can just do anything and get away with. We also pray that our friends from the media will report what you have seen, what you have heard, and not what you want. Thank you very much.
And that's how we wrap up Joy News Prime. My name is Araba Kumson. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com.
This is Joy News Prime.